Hello, my loves, and welcome to Evil Month. It's Halloween month, so I was like, why don't I just do an entire month on the theme of Halloween, which is essentially evil, right? You guys, I am so excited for this series. I have so much to talk about. And before you freak out, I'm not here to teach you how to be a witch. I'm also not here to teach you how to be a saint. I'm here to sort of find the middle ground between rotten soil and holy ground. Because evil is out there. And we're either going to deal with it the easy way or the hard way. And I choose the easy way. I'm going to discuss how we can use evil to our advantage and turn something meant to harm us into our good. And what is more evil than the 7 deadly sins? Now, I can already hear your grandma screaming in the background, saying how Halloween is the devil's holiday and I should not be diving into all this and yada, 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 yada. Hey, Grandma, this one is for you. Halloween was once a Christian holiday. Did you know that kids used to go door to door begging for what was called soul cakes? This is actually how trick-or-treating was originated. They would go door to door asking for soul cakes in exchange for prayers for their loved ones. Christmas, on the other hand, is very much so pagan. So Halloween is actually more Christian than Christmas. Jesus wasn't even born on Christmas Day. Did you know that? Do you know who was, in fact, born on Christmas Day? Me. So I would know. Welcome to the first day of the 7 deadly sins, pride. I'm going to talk about how to stop dialing yourself down and actually be proud of yourself and go from humility to haunting. Gotta stay on the theme a little bit. Mainly, I want to talk about how to stop downplaying your achievements, how to stop downplaying your big personality and just who you are. Granted, I know there are people out there who are very prideful and they are awful to be around. Absolutely awful. And I'm not going to tell you to go out there and be prideful because, look, the 7 deadly sins are the 7 deadly sins for a reason, just like law enforcement is law enforcement for a reason. There is a need for rules. You know, rules are in place for a reason. You can't really live life without rules and having some sort of moral intuition, right? And so I'm not going to say that, like, let's do away with the 7 deadly sins and use all of them and just screw them completely. I'm not saying that, but I'm going to say that I do think that they've been taken a little bit out of context. I think that people exaggerate it worse than it needs to be. And I think that also people who highly believe in the 7 deadly sins as the 7 deadly sins are the most doormatted people. Is that even a word? Doormatted people I have ever met. They get walked over left and right. There is absolutely no backbone to these people. Humility is a virtue. Now look, I'm not saying that that's not entirely true, but I'm also not saying that it's entirely true. And it's funny how when you actually stand up for yourself, people say you're a witch. The other word, but I'm staying on theme. So they call you a witch. And it's funny because they'll say that because they're actually just not getting what they want from you. I'm going to dive into this because listen, if you had a coworker who told you to only talk in a country accent all day because it entertained them, would you do it? No, right? Why would you do that? That benefits literally nobody except for them and their amusement. So why would you do that? So then when people try to dial us down, we dial ourselves down even further most of the time. And why is this? Why do we do that? Because who is it benefiting? Them. 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 Get the picture? If you get my reference, please comment. People tell me all the time, you're like so obsessed with yourself. It's just so annoying. And why don't you focus on someone else instead? You want me to focus on someone else instead of myself. Why does that bother you? It bothers you because you actually want me to obsess over you instead of me, right? That's why it bothers you. Because it wouldn't bother you if I was obsessing over myself and not my friends, because that wouldn't affect you. You're mad that I'm not obsessing over you and I'm obsessing over me instead. And you're making me look like the narcissist, you say, because I am so obsessed with myself. And yet you're the one telling me this and that I should actually obsess over you instead, because in fact, you are so obsessed with yourself that you're mad that I'm obsessing over myself and not over you. Because you think that you actually deserve the attention and not me. When it actually makes sense to put all of my own energy into myself and not into you. So I think that you are actually, in fact, way more obsessed with yourself than I am with myself. And I think that you're also projecting how you feel internally onto me. Because it's so much easier to see it in other people than it is to see it in yourself. Am I right? I don't see myself as obsessed with myself. I see myself as in touch with myself. Huge difference. I am also an entrepreneur, and I'm not ashamed to be putting myself out there like I currently am. And perhaps, not going to say this is fact, but I'm going to say that there is a very good possibility that you like to project that as obsession because you are, in fact, too insecure to be putting yourself out there like I am. And you can't think of any other word for obsession because you are actually, in fact, obsessed with me because I'm actually living your goal and actually you don't like it. So actually you just make me look like the narcissist and I'm actually obsessed with myself. Allegedly. This should really be Envy's video and not Pride's, but you know, it goes both ways. Have you noticed how when someone says, I like your, literally anything, but let's just say outfit for this example. Hey, I like your outfit. We dial it down. We just got a compliment on our outfit and we dial it down and we're like, oh no, I bought it at Goodwill actually and I just literally threw it on. I didn't even look in the mirror before I left. Also didn't brush my hair, but you like it? Thanks. Why do we do this? Why? We literally spent 30 minutes getting ready and we planned out the outfit like 4 days prior because we were so worried about how we were going to look and we got complimented and then we dial it all down. Why? Because we're scared to be bold and firm and confident and proud. We're too scared. And why does that scare us? What is so scary out there besides spiders and bats and I don't even want to say it. Ghosts. Why is that so scary? You know why? Because when we are actually confident and we actually do own up to how we actually feel and which is really proud of ourselves, they're going to dial us down, aren't they? So we have to dial ourselves down first. I don't know who my audience is. I haven't really checked my analytics. So I hate to be saying all this because I'm really not trying to make this like feministic, but have you noticed that this happens tremendously more with women than men? Tremendously more. We are taught to be small. Have you ever looked or just walked through the women's clothing section at Walmart? What do all the shirts say? Something always so cheesy, like choose kindness, be kind, Love always, live, laugh, love. I mean, maybe not on a shirt. Sometimes. It's definitely at Hobby Lobby all over. Always stay humble and kind. You're gonna find that stuff everywhere. Everywhere. Places that are targeted at women. Target. There's another example. When was the last time you walked through the men's section of like any store and saw literally anything, one thing that said any of that? Now I know I haven't existed on this earth that long, but enough time, several decades enough to say that I have never once seen a shirt in the men's section that says, choose kindness. I'm not trying to rewrite the patriarchy. I'm just saying, forewarned is forearmed. This is happening. And in my opinion, this is evil. Someone is trying to keep women small. And I'm not saying that we're supposed to be big, like muscles, and I don't believe in trying to be equal per se. I'm just saying that we're not supposed to be manipulated like this either. Because when you go around believing that this is just how you're supposed to be, is completely humble and completely kind and completely loving and completely just living and laughing and loving, where do you think that's going to get you in life? I've talked a lot about strategy and how if you don't have strategy, where are you going to end up? Speaking of strategy, here's a great example. One night, I was playing pool against 3 guys. And I had practiced pool for I don't even know how many years before this. Because I had a pool table in my house. And I would practice all the time with my friend. We'd always have this joke how one day we were going to play pool against a bunch of guys in a bar and beat them. Never thought it would actually happen. But one night I was playing pool against 3 guys and I beat all 3 of them. Don't even know how. Honestly, I don't even know how. That was literally mind-blowing for me. And I was telling my mom about it because I was so proud. And she was like, proud. There's that word. And she was like, honey, you should have let them win. Guys have sensitive egos. And I was like, Mom, I have a sensitive ego. Are you kidding me? Why would I let them win? I was like, we played on equal terms and I won that game fair and square. Why on earth would I have let them win because their ego might be hurt? I can't. This is how we are taught to be small. I should have actually just pocketed the 8-ball, even though I totally had the shot. Because guess what? If I made it, it might hurt their ego. And then what happens? And then what happens? World War III happens? They go home and cry? Like, okay, so their ego is hurt because I won because I had been practicing for years on end. And this is my fault because why? Because I'm actually supposed to be small and I didn't dial down my game and let them win. This is not supposed to be some feministic rant, but I cannot live my life dialing myself down and literally the one sport that I just so happened to be good at that one time. I mean, look, I don't win every game at all. Like, there is almost never that I actually win a game. But, like, you know, the times that I do, or like the times that this is just a good example of the pool situation. But the times that I actually am able to achieve something in my life, I have to dial it down in case it like offends somebody else. This is what we're taught. This is what we're taught. And there is nothing I hate more. Animal abusers. Definitely a lot more. But almost nothing that I hate more than dialing myself down when I already, if I'm being honest, have this bottomless belief that I will never be good enough at anything. At anything. So then, like, the two things that I actually might have a chance at, I gotta actually dial myself down. Just because, what if it offends somebody else? What if it offends me? This is where pride comes into play. What if it offends me? Why does my pride have to sacrifice for everyone else's? I had this friend that I was talking to as I talked to my friends, and I was talking about how I was signing autographs that night at my job, because that happens every now and then. And my friend was like, you think you're so cool, like, signing autographs. You just think that you're so cool. I said, I'm just telling you how my night went. And apparently, the people who were asking for my autographs thought that I was pretty cool enough to ask. So, I said to my friend, I'm like, you're in the cheap seats booing at my show. I'm like, nobody asked you to be here. Why are you here? Like, literally, why are you even here? I mean, maybe because I am actually cool? Is that why you're staying in my life? Because you actually do kind of like hanging out with me? Maybe. I mean, I don't really have any other explanation, so you tell me, why are you actually in my life if you think that I'm actually so not that cool? Here's another example, because guess what? It's Evil Month, and there's nothing more fitting than just blasting all these people on the internet, right? Should I name their names? That might be fun. Anyway, I had this friend, let's just say, like, I was technically on a date. It was technically a date. You know how dating works these days. So we were on like a 10-hour road trip. Like, literally a 10, probably even more hour road trip. It was one day. It was a one-day road trip. It was wild. And so we were like, I don't know, probably 5.5 hours at least into this road trip. And we were just having fun, like, the whole time, talking about, like, whatever. I wasn't, like, you know, pumping myself up or anything. That's really not how I am, especially in person. On videos like this, I'm a little bit more because I'm working, and I feel like it's kind of my job to talk myself up, and, you know, anyway. In person, I'm really not, like, overbearing. So this dude just starts, like, full on bashing me out of literally nowhere, like 5.5 hours into this road trip. I can't remember exactly what was said, but I remember him saying something about how I'm just so good for nothing and just worthless, and, like, literally went off. And I was like, just super taken back, and I was so angry at the same time, because I was just like, why am I listening to this, and why am I in a car with you? The only reason that I could possibly even think of that he felt the need to just start bashing me out of the blue was because the day, I think it was prior, I had posted on my Snapchat story. So overbearing, I know, and so prideful. I was posting about how I was going to be on a magazine feature that was coming up in a few months. So I straight up told him, I was like, look, I don't like being degraded. I used to degrade myself all the time. And I'm like, look, I am at the point in my life, finally, where I'm actually confident enough to not degrade myself. And I'm like, I don't want to hear it. I have spent so many years of my life believing that I'm not good enough. And I'm like, I don't want to hear you talking about how I'm not good enough. I'm like, let's see your 3 magazine covers with you on the front page promoting your business that you did yourself. Let's see it. He went silent. You could hear a pin drop. He did not expect me to come at him like that. And he was doing this in the first place because he knew I was making waves and he felt inferior to me. And he thought if he could dial me down just enough, I would dial myself down even further, which would make him that much higher, and I would be putting him on the pedestal above me, which I'm not saying that I should be on a pedestal above him. I'm just saying he wanted me to put him on a pedestal above myself, and it would be my own doing. Sometimes I've noticed that men, now I'm not going to say that this doesn't happen with women. It probably happens on both sides. If toxic is just going to be toxic, and I don't think that it necessarily is a gender thing, but I've noticed it more with men because I date men and not women. But I've noticed sometimes men will try to really pump me up, make me seem super cool to the point that they feel like they really got a hold on me, and then they will just tear me down and shred me to bits when they at the point where they feel like they've really got me. Because I think that it fills their ego in some way to just destroy me. To admit how cool I actually am and play it up that yeah, you are all this, and then watch me just completely destroy you because they are in fact under me, because nobody above me would be doing something like that. That's absolutely pathetic. But they're jealous of the success that I have, and that's why they build it up and then just shred it down. Because it makes them feel better. Or higher. It's disgusting. It's literally disgusting. And again, I'm not saying that it's only men who do this. I would imagine women do too. I just haven't seen it personally. I do actually think that it could be even worse with women, especially woman to woman, because when women are, again, ingrained, we're supposed to be small. When we see another woman actually being big, talk about inferior and envy, and again, this should really be envy's topic, shouldn't it? I genuinely wonder, do ugly chicks ever have to deal with this stuff? People think that if you are pretty, you can just move through the world so flawlessly. It's not true. I think it's honestly harder to be pretty. I really do. I'm not going to say that I was just born this pretty because it's, today's topic is pride. So I could totally just say that and get away with it. But I also will say I have worked really, really hard to be pretty and to learn my angles. And I'm not saying that I'm like a god. Believe me, I have my ugly days and I have my ugly moments in every video I make. Believe me, I know it. But I am saying that I also know where I stand. And I also know where I stand when people try to label me as narcissistic. People use that term way too loosely. Way too loosely. I am not trying to tear anyone else down, which is exactly what a narcissist does. Look at what I do. I'm literally trying to help people. I know that I can be a little bit more braggy on social media than I can in person to people, but that's in social media, and I choose to be more braggy on social media. That way, if people don't want to listen to it, they can just keep scrolling. They don't have to hear about it from me in person, which is why it's so funny to me when people come up to me in person and they tell me, Cassie, look, I'm happy for you and your recent accomplishments, but it's getting really annoying seeing the posts everywhere. I'm like, oh, it's getting annoying to you, is it? I'm sorry that my accomplishments are getting annoying to you. Funny how that works. It's funny how my accomplishments are not getting annoying to me. I'm actually just getting fired up, and I got a lot more coming. So you can either exit the chat now or decide to just be okay with it, because I don't know what else to tell you. Or you could start like actually taking my advice and start working on yourself so that way you won't actually feel inferior to me. Because if you're actually proud of yourself, you won't feel inferior, but which just goes back to my point. People try to dial us down because it somehow benefits them. It's so easy to see this with people who have money, right? If you got a lot of money and then people just start like kind of working their way into your life, like, hey, so when are we going to your lake house? Or like, when are you going to take me for a ride in your new Benz? Or like, when are we going to go out to eat? And you know that you're going to be paying for dinner. You know that. Especially because every time the other people that you mutually know ask them to go out for dinner, they're like, no, I can't, I'm broke. Because they're also broke. And that they're not going to be paying for their meal. Anyway, you know what I'm saying? It's so easy to see this with people who are rich. So why can we not see it when people are essentially using us for our own pride? And much like anything else, if you feel someone is using you for something, simply remove whatever that thing is. If you think someone's using you for your money, take out the dinner option. Take out anything that is going to somehow benefit them with your money. Take that out of the equation and see who sticks around. Same with this. So if you feel somebody is trying to dial you down because you actually are more proud of yourself than they are, don't take the bait. Stay firm, stay confident, stay proud, and see what happens. A lot of the times, if you don't take the bait and you just stay firm and they try to dial you down and you own up to your accomplishments or wherever it is that you're at, whatever it is that they're trying to dial you down in, whatever that category is, if you stay firm in that, almost always within 5 minutes, they'll just start down talking themselves because they realized it didn't work to down talk you. And almost always in life, if you give someone enough rope, they're gonna just hang themselves. And the people who try to tear you down do so because they're already under you. You're up here and they're trying to tear you down because you're so far above them already. That's why they have to tear you down. If they were above you, they would be bringing you up, right? And they want to tear you down so that way you're equals, because if you're equals, then they'll feel better about themselves. You ever see a Chihuahua go bark at a Great Dane? It's hilarious. The Chihuahua thinks if it makes itself look all bigger and puff itself out, it'll be bigger. And the Great Dane just stands there like, can you get this rat out of my face? It's so annoying. The Great Dane isn't taking the bait and isn't barking back at the Chihuahua, shrinking itself down, trying to look smaller. Absolutely not. That's ridiculous. Have you ever seen an eagle interacting with a pigeon on the ground? No, that's ridiculous. An eagle knows just who it is. It knows. And it stays up where it belongs. And no one shames the eagle for doing so. No one says that that eagle is narcissistic and it's too prideful and it's... No! No one says that about the Great Dane either, that it's narcissistic and prideful, because guess what? It doesn't interact with the Chihuahua and try to make itself look smaller, because guess what? If the Great Dane doesn't shrink itself down to be the size of the Chihuahua, what if it hurts the Chihuahua's ego? Wow. That would be terrible, wouldn't it? What if a bald eagle doesn't want to interact with a pigeon, and what if it hurts the pigeon's ego? Because the bald eagle, the bird of all birds, doesn't want to interact with it. What if it hurts its ego? Then what happens? Does it even matter what happens? So why would we tolerate this? Why? If a pigeon, somebody who is equivalent to a pigeon in our life comes tweeting at us, maybe quite literally on Twitter or X, what do you guys think of the update? I think it's so bizarre. So let's say a pigeon comes tweeting at us, sending us insults, telling us how we need to dial ourselves down because we're too much. We're just too much. I love how everyone says that. You're just too much. Sorry. I know it can be a lot, but you're just not enough. So I think we could just make a Great Dane and just kind of laugh at, not Great Danes don't laugh, but just kind of be like, okay, this is annoying. It's just annoying. Can you just get out of my face? It's just annoying. That's literally all there is to it. And just brush it off and walk away. Walk on them if we have to, because they're so annoying and tiny, and we can just... And I think we can be proud of ourselves and know that it's not narcissistic. And it's not our fault if we insult someone else's ego, because we're just capable of more than they are. And we're not obsessed with ourselves. We are just eagles. And we're not made to be put in cages and gawked at. We are meant to be free. And we should be proud of the awestrucking creatures we are. Whether you're an eagle, a raven, crow, or the wicked witch from the west, don't let anyone drag you down. Stay flying, stay soaring, soar, my pretties. Fly, fly, fly. Well, that is all for today's topic of pride. I hope you guys liked it because I have a lot more coming. We're covering each of the 7 deadly sins, and I might even throw in a bonus video because I want to do 2 a week, and I think I want to cover my personal favorite twice. So, lots more coming. I hope you guys are enjoying this. If you guys would like to book a free discovery call with me, you can book one in the link in the description below. If you guys would like more of this content, be sure to follow me on almost any social media platform at Make Waves Coach. You can also find me on almost any social media platform at Mermaid Kassandra with a K, because I'm also a professional mermaid, if you didn't know. It's pretty cool. You can also follow my podcast, Make Waves, Mermaid Kassandra, every place podcasts are found. I will talk to all of y'all in the next video. Now go out there and make waves. Mwah!